Hello and welcome back to the Only Fools Love Horses YouTube channel. It's episode 9 of our ante-post Cheltenham series and our final episode. We've had plenty of time, plenty of guests on. We've got some few live naps to take to war with and a few that are already gone in the water before we even started. It's been a fantastic series. Thank you very much to everyone who's viewed it, subscribed to the channel, liked us since, and we're going to continue on. And we're joined by some absolutely stupendous guests. We're joining up with the Understarters Orders podcast for the final one. Hello, gentlemen. Declan, how are you on this fine evening?
Good, lads. Looking forward to travelling over to see us all next week.
Yes.
Yeah. Brilliant to see you. And Andy, you've been writing a very nice book. I know it's been a long time coming, and it should be finished soon.
It's gone to print right over here. So the very last touches. Can't wait. Look forward to everyone reading it as well. And thanks for the introduction. That was way better than what Chris has ever given us now.
Yeah.
We can always
get a signed copy for that.
Yeah, I'll get a signed one for you now next week. Yeah.
I'll be waiting for it, Andy. Lee, yourself, we've got this anti-post series that's been going on. It's coming to an end. It's a sad sight. I'm sad about this.
I know it's a long time coming, and then when you get the final few weeks, it seems to pass really quick. We've only got this will come out on Monday. We're basically a week till the festival, and I can't wait. I'm absolutely buzzing for it. And like you say, it's been a long time coming, but it's over in a flash.
Yeah, really it's been a long time coming. And Harry, I don't know what game you were watching earlier, but did United win 7-0?
Yeah, well, I thought they did, so that's why it's.
I saw 7-0 and just thought that was us, wasn't it? Yeah, sure.
Well, I actually went. I didn't even watch it after the fourth went, and I was like, I can't be bothered with this. So, no, can we just move on to the race?
It must have been Newcastle taking all the energy out of you last week.
Oh, he's popping up again.
At least we got the job done, eh? At least we got the job done. No, as me and Harry will be sat here in a depressed state as United lost, but we are going to be covering the final 3 handicaps that we haven't covered yet: the Coral Cup, Muir and County Hurdle. Saying some tasty ones till the end, and we've got all the handicap weights, all the information we could ever want in here. And we're going to start with the Coral Cup. Now, I haven't got prices loaded up on my screen because I am very prepared for this, obviously.
Do we do it for you?
But, yeah, go on, Harry.
Right, so Run for Oscar for the Mr. Burns. He did it 15-2. Campron 9-1. HMS Seahorse, Hawthorne Colours, Langer Dan, an interesting one at 10-1. American Mark at 12s. Brandy Love, Not the Porn Star at 14s. Imagine at 14s. And you can have what you like around the rest.
Thank you, my glamorous assistant. Deck, yourself. We'll go to the Coral Cup first. Plenty of double entries for those horses who are eligible for the Martin Pipe. What have you landed your dart on?
Look, this is a cliff horse of mine, and he comes across as a horse who's been gone at the game, but Beacon Edge was, I say he was, but he probably still is a high-class hurdler. You know, he just didn't get the trip in the stayers a few years ago. He doesn't quite, he stayed the 3 miles, he just didn't stay strong enough. They tried chasing with him. I don't even think he was a bad chaser. He just needed to be held up, and he enjoyed going past horses, and he won the Drinmore. That was actually the last time he ran on good ground before they went for the Boyne Hurdle the last day, and he looked back to himself the last day in the Boyne Hurdle. He's got in here off a mark of 147. You're assuming he's going to get his ground, and if he does get his ground, I think he'll really enjoy this, the big field. He mightn't even know he's in a race for a long way. I think this could be right up his street. He's always been very, very ground dependent, and if you go through his form, it tells you that, winning the Drinmore on good ground. Good wasn't in the description at all. Looked like a horse who just gave up the game until he gets good ground at Navan the last day. Now, he was beaten by Blazing Cal, who came back from the dead and looked very, very good. So there's no shame in that if Blazing Cal is as good as they all think he is. So getting good ground at the festival, I think he's a bit of a forgotten horse for a high class hurdler on good ground of 147.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you here. I've been doing a massive piece for this local newsletter. I did a preview evening with them for the November meeting. They asked me to go through and do a piece. I did a massive handicap piece, which I've been doing over the last 5 days. And Beacon Edge is actually where I landed on. I thought his form returning back, back to hurdles behind Blazing Carl. I thought he was an absolute stormer of a race there. You only have to go back a little bit, and he was very close to Honeysuckle in the 2020 Hatton's Grace Hurdle. So I think his form is very, very good for a horse who's very high class in this kind of field. I think off a mark of 147, I'm really inclined to agree with you there, 20-1. Andy, yourself, we've already had agreement so early in the video. Already had agreement for the Coral Cup. Is it a hat trick?
It's very interesting that Deck brings up Beacon Edge, which doesn't surprise me because he loves the horse. Now, not saying that, but if you go back to last year's race, who won last year's race? At 50-1.
Commander of Fleet.
Commander of Fleet. Very similar profile coming back from fences. And had a prosperous season. Now, if it was the Coral Cup handicap chase, like it says below, I think Commander struggled. He may have struggled, but no, it was just what the doctor ordered him coming back over hurdles on heavy ground. Beacon Edge would be losing sleep now if there was heavy ground on the Wednesday like last year, but forecasting I think is suggesting that we're going to get decent ground. The one I landed on, Ash, was Captain Combi. Is a horse I've a lot of time for, off 143. He's around a 16 or 20-1 shot. He entered my notebook late last season at Aintree. He went off 80-1 for the 2.5 mile grade 1, and he was traveling pretty strongly before falling. I think at the third or fourth last. Three Stripe Life ended up winning the race. If you go back through his form, he's a bit of a nearly horse. He's a really, really strong traveller. Second to Eric Bloodaxe when given probably a little bit too much to do. Maybe they didn't want to get too close to that particular rival. He was unfortunately no longer with us. Then in a Pretemps qualifier, he travelled all over everything, just did not quite get home. And I think it was third to She Wears It Well. And then he was second to San Salvador last time out at Punchestown. That rival got first run on Captain Combi, and I think there are two horses that are still well ahead of the handicapper. I wouldn't put anyone off San Salvador either, but nothing is going to travel better into this race than Captain Combi. He's a really strong traveller. He'll just need a pace to aim at. The 2 mile 5 is tailor-made for him, and I'd be really confident that he'll run a big race. So Captain Combi is my selection. I will just give another little shout out to an epic song. 40-1 shot, a long way down the market there, but trainers are a creature of habit. Martin Brazel obviously was very unlucky with fast or slow in this race last year, beaten by a short head. This horse has had a very, very similar prep down the field in the Liffey, but ran better than the finishing position suggests. He was hampered by Man of Work at the third when he fell, and he was hampered at the last by, I think it was the Tide Turns. He would have just finished in the mid-division, quiet enough run, but if Declan was to get unlucky and the ground was to turn soft, you would see a pile of money for this horse because he's still a young 6-year-old that could still be improving. 40-1 is available. Look, I'm not going to say back him now. He'd probably be that price in the day. Unless there's a monsoon. If there is a bit of rain, this horse is going to be well backed. And just because he's performed on soft ground before, it doesn't mean he absolutely needs it. I think good ground could be okay for him. At that price, it's worth taking a chance on him. But the owners obviously sponsored the Ballymore on the first day. They love having Cheltenham runners, and I just say this lad is going to be cherry ripe for the Coral Cup. Whether he's good enough is another thing, but I think he's one to keep on side at a big price, but would be Captain Combi for me off 143. I think he could be still progressing, and he's a horse I like a lot.
It's very interesting. The weather reports going about. It could be, there's weather reports going about. It could be snowing. We could be having monsoons of snow coming up to the week. So it's very one to keep an eye on. Martin Brazel is a trainer I have plenty of time for as well, and he definitely entered my calculations. Lee, the Coral Cup, very interesting handicap chase. I'm doing it to myself, naming the words. Handicap hurdle. It's been a long day watching.
Are you pissed?
I wish I was, Harry.
You're like Chris with the gender of the horses.
Run for Oscar 7-1, Lee. So it's a very open handicap hurdle. What do you like?
I like a couple. I think Captain Morgs is interesting if he does go here for Nicky Henderson.
He might go to the Pretemps. So his case is obvious, but he might go to the Pretemps.
It's only because that he's got so many in the race. I think has he got 5 or 6, Nicky, in the Pretemps? He might chuck this one in here.
He's got 5, yeah.
5. So I do think he's got a better chance with walking on air in the Pretemps. They might take the chance of this lad going. They've won the race a couple of times. It beat Annual Invictus. The last day he was 3rd. Dusart was 6th in the race. He fairly bolted up. He's a classy horse. He's been second to Call Me Lord a few runs back. behind God Your Dreams and Cool Cody in the past. He's not on a bad mark, 141, and they might take the chance here just with him having 5 in the attempts. But I do like Campron as well. He hasn't lifted a leg this season, but he's obviously dropped to a good mark. Ran off 140 last year. The ground was well against him, and it'll be a lot better this season. He ran in the Greatwood. Obviously, that form was cracking last season, and he then we banged that drum about 1 million times last season, the Greatwood Hurdle form. But it did show up well, and he went on to punch us down to win there. But dropped a couple of pounds again. He might just show his class and run well. But hopefully Captain Morgs does go here, and I'd take the chance on that one.
Yeah, Camper on the ground didn't exactly go for him, but he was like best of the rest last season. Like there was the top two.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like Ashdale Bob and Campron was like 10 lengths back, and then the rest of them were like they were still in Bishop's Cleeve, you know. So like it was very much he was best of the rest there. Harry, Coral Cut, closing say on this. What would you like?
Tough one. Listen, I wherever Ballyadam goes, I think he's got a big chance. 20-1 for both this race and the county. Listen, compared to last year where Ballyadam did run, there's no state man in this, like in the handicaps. Willie Mullins, or should I say David Casey, said there's no state man that's well in off 141 that's 20 pounds above its mark, or below its mark, I should say, that they've got for the handicaps. So I just think it is wide open. I can see the case for the lads. Beacon Edge. Listen, Beacon Edge off 147 is very tasty, because I think that's quite lenient. I do think that is very lenient. But
can I play devil's advocate? Just, is the stable form with Beacon Edge, would that be an issue, Dick, or not?
Gordon had a treble today.
Mead had a winner today, didn't he? The Jigginstown horse, the Grey.
Yeah, that is it. Mikey O'Sullivan had that was his first winner, wasn't it, for Jigginstown?
Lieutenant Command. He was in good form.
Yeah.
Himself. I don't know about the horses. He was in good form. No, he's a winner today. He was at Leopardstown with the wife, so you know.
It's very few decent jumpers now. No, he's gone for much more to the flat.
Yeah.
He's breezing a load of 2-year-olds. Like, he's gonna have a lot of 2-year-olds this year.
He's getting sexy in his old age.
Yeah.
He had the sketches on today.
Sketches on.
Ash, I'm going to give you one. Ash, I'm going to give you one at a price. Bring on for Gordon Elliott. I think it's a big price at 20-1. Looks like this is going to be the place. Beat Spanish Harlem at Turles last time. It was a decent run. Don't get me wrong. Probably should have won the time before, actually, but it just had no run. So made amends last time. I think he is probably still well treated, off 135. So he's only a 6-year-old, progressive, 20-1. He could be a nice price on the day. Will handle the good ground. So I think he's a nice price, but it's definitely not one that I'd be diving into. Not at this current stage anyway. But look at Langadan, by the way. Like, Langadan's at 10-1.
I would just stop.
This is what I'm saying. Langadan at 10-1 is the worst price. Is the worst price I've ever seen. Like, how is that horse, who was beaten 35 lengths last time, and then 11 lengths by Romeo Brown, 8 lengths by Dashiell Drasher, and is still rated £1 less? That is the worst price 10-1 I've ever seen. This is quietly becoming the Dan Skelton no-show, isn't it?
Harry started his argumentative side. It's already coming in early. I like it.
Harry Skelton's gone for home as well.
Well. Move on.
Thank you, Harry. I'll give a shout to 2 more. I'll give a shout to Tax for Max. I thought he ran a good race in the Liffey just gone. I thought he ran a belter there. And I think the 2 mile 5 should suit really, really well. It's a horse I quite like, and he step up in distance here. I think he'll go well. And another, actually, I don't know whether he's running, so maybe want to leave or maybe back non-runner money back. But the Very Man actually won the Up the Yard Challenge race just gone 19th of February. That flat race. One of you Irish lads have to explain this a bit more to me. What's the crack with the Up the Yard Challenge? What is that? I'm not too clued up on it personally.
It's staff, isn't it? And they apply to go, and then, you know,
they get a license and all for it. It's just a thank you. Usually they raise money for charity, and it's a thank you for the jockeys. Like, usually the top jockeys will lead up the stable lads. Like, I know Patrick Mullins and Shane Foley and
Rachel and
I think Shane Foley led up the Very Man for the so like it's a lovely touch, and it's a lot of fun, and they raise money for good causes as well. So
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, I it wasn't on the form book for the Racing Post, and I had to go a little bit further. And I saw it on Twitter, and it's just sort of like it was like, yeah, I remember that from when that happened that day. Actually beat Scaramanga, Willie Mullins, giving away £6 on the flat there. Like I know that's not the biggest piece of form in the world, but Scaramanga's actually rated higher and giving away £6, very good. 41 very well that day off 139, could be very well handicapped, and was actually third to Darva Star in September 2022. Fairly decently close, and Darva Star was given a bit of weight there away, but Darva Star's a really, really nice horse. So I think of a marker 139, I think the very man, if turns up for Jessica Harrington, could be quite interesting, I believe. 2 double-figure prices there, along with the one mentioned there with Beacon Edge, all on the Noel Mead train, it seems. The Kim Muir, next race we'll go into. A lovely little handicap here. Handicap chase. I've got this one correct on my screen. Stumptown 9-2. Bit of a talking horse. I think Johnny Deneen put this up on up in the ante recently. Mr. Incredible 5-1. Willie Mullins was last seen in the classic chase at Warwick. Angel's Dawn 9s. Dunboyne 10s. Mombeg Genius 12s. And I'll go first of all over to Andy. Very difficult this race. Obviously, plenty are entered for the Ultima as well. It's a 0-145. Very difficult to find out which ones are definitely going unless something's been said. But what would you like for the Kim Muir?
Yeah, double, triple, quadruple entries. So yeah, not easy usually when it comes to the Kim Muir. I think Phil Dorr has an entry in this. I think he might have set the record for most entries at the Cheltenham Festival. I think he's in like every novice chase. I think he's in the majority of the handicap chases, and I think he's in the Coral County, and I don't think he got balloted out the Martin Pipe, but Janie Mac, they would have probably given him an entry in that as well if they tried. But yeah, it's a tough race because obviously it's, you know, they're all double, triple entered. One horse who I saw many people saying got harshly treated by the handicapper is Volcano of Gordon Elliott's. He got £8 on his Irish mark. Irish 130, British 138. He's solely handicapped on a run at Galway when he was beaten 3 lengths in the beginners by the Devil's Coachman, with Churchstone Warrior in second, Grandero Bello third. He was fourth, and then back in fifth is actually the 141 rated Dunboyne, who I think was second in the Thyestes. Now he hasn't really lived up to that in 2 chase starts since, but the horse is well capable. I have a hunch he's going to run here because he's in the Ultimate as well. And he's a novice that I think could, even off that exuberant 138 mark, I think could actually take advantage of it. If they keep him at home, he's absolutely chucked in Ireland. So just have what you like on him over here off 130, because I think he's very lightly let in. He is one to keep an eye on, but only 3 chase starts so far, so he has to give away experience, which sometimes in the Kim Muir isn't the easiest thing to do unless you're on something that's absolutely chucked in, which, you know, isn't beyond the realms of possibility. Another one is Royal Thief, winner of an amateurs race at Punchestown under Patrick Mullins when he was given a wide berth the whole way around, but it was a clever ride. One with a stack in hand. Fakira was back in second. It was his first time on the track for quite a long time after a long injury, so it was a good training performance by Henry de Bromhead to get him back. With Mr. Incredible in here, I don't think Patrick Mullins is going to retain the ride, but I think it would be quite significant if he did. And if you go back through his chase form, I think he had form with Col Reevy when he was last seen. So like he was no mug, and I think he was sent off 11-2 to beat her. So what he showed at Punchestown showed me that he at least retains ability, and he could still be very progressive, even at, I think, 9 years of age. And then the other one I'll just give a quick mention to is Lascalon of Phoenicia Williams. The reason this thing caught my eye, he's a very consistent horse off 135, also has an Ultimate entry. But what struck me was Lucy Turner was booked to ride him last time out at Ascot. Lucy Turner won the race last year for Phoenicia Williams. I think was it Compound or maybe
Champard, wasn't it?
Compound's in the Coral Cup. Now I think he's in it too, but I just thought it was an interesting jockey booking, and he was given a wide ride the whole way around. Ran a little bit below form, but he's very, very consistent outside of that since they got him from France. And I wouldn't be surprised if, given the festival Venetia Williams had last year, that he could run well. I think he's 25-1. Keep an eye on whether Lucy Turner rides or not. And then the very, very last thing I'll say is there is one jockey that constantly gets overlooked in these amateur races, and just you'd nearly back whatever he rides because he's absolutely brilliant. It's a jockey called James King. He rode Didero Valle last year at 66-1, finished third. if you look at his other rides throughout like Hunter Chases, he won a Fox Hunters on Denora 10-1, was second on him at 66-1. This is at Aintree now. Was second on him behind On the Fringe at 66-1. He won another Aintree Fox Hunters on Cousin Pascal at 66-1. He's just a phenomenal rider, and he always gets overlooked. So just have a look at what he's riding, because half of these people, as what Deck would say, would have their shoelaces tied under the horse just to try and stay on. James King, the only reason he's not a professional is because he just can't do the weight. So this lad, whoever he rides, just even have a few shillings each way. It could even be Laskelin, because he rode for Venetia Williams last year in the race. So him at 25-1, Royalty Volcano. Do I want to have a bet right now? Probably not. But yeah, I would keep an eye on those three.
No, thank you very much, Andy. Lee, very sort of difficult race to maybe have an opinion on at this stage, or have you found something? Do you like something for the Kim Muir at this stage?
I've got a couple of the big up race. I do think this Stumptown jumped like a buck the last day, bolted up at Sandown off 133. It's a great mark, and it could come there swinging. Gavin Cummins in cracking form as well. I think he's the obvious favourite, and I do think he will win. In a couple of the big up race, a Knight and Lambourne's in here. Won an amateur race last time over track and trip. Had Jack Andrews on, has won with Gina Andrews on as well, 2 runs back. Likes the course, off 135. That stays all day. I think that's got a good shout. And I also like Rapper. Won 2 starts back at Cheltenham. It's a big price, 25-1. It's probably not on a great mark, but stayed on powerfully last time at Sandown. I think it was about 9 lengths off it. It was 5th, stayed on well, and it's won over 3 mile, 2.5, 2 runs back. So it bolted up that day. 8 lengths it won by. Rapper is overpriced, and I can't let me old pal the Wolf go. I know.
No.
I know. Look, you know what? But it's had a couple of spins round Cheltenham, and it's ran well in the past. It stays for fun, this horse, and Ollie Murphy's in good form. So it's 33-1. If it does take the run, I'll have a couple of quid on the Wolf. So the Wolf and the Rapper, but be 2 main 2. Stumptown, I think's thrown in, and a Knight in Lambourne.
If the Wolf goes here and runs, I won't be backing it. I can tell people now I won't be backing it, and that'll be the day it wins. So there's the nap.
That's good for me. That's good news to hear that you're not backing it.
Deck, the Kim Muir. Anything taking your fancy at this stage?
Yeah, this is a horse I've talked about all year. Am I right? I still believe this horse could be a Grade 1 staying chaser next year. He's a brilliant jumper. He's arguably the best jumper of the novices, of the stayers anyway. His form won't read like that, and even the comments, the post-race comments won't read like that. But I've been at the racetrack when he's run, and he's a very, very good jumper. He just outstayed Secret She Keeps at Fairy House early on in the season, and then he went to Punchestown. I can't think. It might have been the Florida Pearl or the Craddock's Town.
Check for if you want.
Yeah, go on. And he was taking lengths out of the field the whole way round until they were about to turn into the back, and he just made a mistake. Like, they are novices at the end of the day. He made a mistake at the fence just before he turned into the back. He lost a little bit of ground, but they didn't jump the fences in the back that day. There was low sun. So Rachel gave him plenty of time, tried to fill him up, but it's obviously very, very difficult when you're not jumping, you're not getting to fill a horse up that way. But the time they jumped the fence again and turned for home, he'd nothing left. I would have upgraded that performance. Then he went to Leopardstown. Like, Leopardstown's a lovely test of jumping down the back. Again, he was jumping really, really well until Jack Kennedy pushed Rachel off him. I think he'd have gone really, really close that day. Literally pushed her off the horse. Look, then he's gone to Nice, and I was kind of saying to myself, I'll put a line through that. But you don't even have to put a line through that run. You know, the Devil's Coachman and Ramillies, they're 2 horses that people think are Grade 1 horses, you know, and people would back in an RSA as well. I actually backed Am I Right for the RSA 66-1. But coming here, 142, I know he's going to have to carry a lot of weight. But if he wants to be a Grade 1 staying chaser next year, he's going to have to carry that weight in Grade 1s. He's going to have to carry it against a better class of horse. Now, I know you're going to be jumping into the likes of, Stumpstown, who is in here off 135. He's looking really well handicapped. But I think, am I right, is arguably the classiest horse in this field. And he's just going to beat a lot of handicappers. I don't know who's going to ride him because Barry O'Neill takes the ride on Stumpstown.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, although I probably would have sent him to the Ultimate and let Keith ride him. But look, I don't know. Finney Maguire, Andy, maybe?
Could be. Now he is he's only in the Brown Advisory as well, so I suppose he is going to run. Like there is, they could get Pat Taft, they could get.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, they could get some. They could get any. Like there is a lot of Irish amateurs around that could. That could take the ride.
You said there's a lot of Irish amateurs going straight to Pat Taft.
I'm trying to think who, because everyone else is booked. That's why I went straight to him.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, do you not think that's just Stumptown just looks absolutely thrown in off 135?
Yeah, but you're gonna have to be. Is he a future Grade 1 horse? Because
if they're making out for him to be a Grade 1 horse, people would be saying 9-2, 135. He's absolutely thrown in.
133 or 135? I thought he was
135.
135. But there was never any talk of him going for a Grade 1. Normally, you get your mark and you go, oh, hang on a minute, let's take advantage of this mark. He'll absolutely hack up in a handicap. But I maybe in 2 years he could be a Grade 1 horse, but I don't think he's ready now. I don't think he's that good now. And he could develop slowly into a Grade 1 horse. But the mark, while it might look lenient, I don't think he's in the class of a horse like Am I Right, who's ran in graded races all season. He's ran in a Grade 1 and was running really, really well in one. And I just think he could be head and shoulders above this field. And although he's the carried away, he's going to give it away to lesser horses, and I think he just beats them.
Yeah, he's definitely
a good amateur on him.
He's definitely an interesting horse. I was really sort of taken by his sort of season, how he's progressed. The last day, obviously, it was sort of like a little bit like he was 6 lengths behind. But again, like you said there, like Ramillies is a horse who's second. Well, he was second favourite for the National Hunt Chase, and then like the sort of unknown army between the Dondies if they're going now or not. So I think,
but
he
took them to the last as well, Ash. Like it wasn't that he was a well-beat 6 lengths. He took them to the last, and he kind of got bumped. Jumping the fence, and then he pecked on landing, and you can just go, well, he's lost his ground there, and then he's thrown in the towel as the two of them battle to the line. So it's not as bad as it reads, that performance against good horses.
No, 100%. He was definitely my each way horse in this. So me and Decca singing off the same hymn sheet. Harry, Kim Muir, what do you fancy?
Well, Evan Williams, he's got a good each way profit in this race. So I'm gonna go with Secret Reprieve in here. Now you're gonna have to people like to slate this horse saying he's done absolutely nothing since his Chepstow run, but he actually had a nice little spin round Cheltenham last time out on New Year's Day. It was a pretty decent run, I thought. Well, listen, the problem is with him, he just smashes fences. He gives them absolutely no respect whatsoever. But he runs like a horse who's got pounds in hand, and he just stays on and stays and stays and stays. Now, if he brushes his jumping up and if he's fresh, which he should be after a couple of months layoff, I think he'll be bound to be there, or at least coming in there with a decent. Are you
gonna do an Evan Williams double? Are you with Mr. Cody?
Well, that pays something. Wouldn't it? Secret Reprieve and Cool Cody for the play. Well, that would pay something. But no, he's dropped to a mark of 132. That's £2 below his Welsh national win. He stays on all day. Listen, if he can get round without eating all of the fences on the way round, he'll be in there with a chance. So I just think he's got a big chance. The new course should suit him. I would again be interested to see who they put on. Secret Reprieve, be interested to see that. But listen, all the boxes are ticked in a race where if you're trying to take on the favourite Stumptown, what we lads have clearly just tried to do, I just think that Secret Reprieve has got a really nice each way chance. So
Stumptown, I think that run the last day, he jumped amazing, and he'll not have no problems going around there, I don't think. I know what Jack's saying about the class, but that's a good mark. He could come there swinging.
He could come there swinging, but then the thing is, you look at that race and I mean, it's an extra couple of furlongs, isn't it? So he went from Turles and then went up in trip to Sandown. He's got to step up again into Cheltenham, and you've got to get up a hill as well. So, listen, I'm saying with Secret Reprieve because not many horses can say they've won a Welsh
Sandown
National
has a fair
Championship,
hill,
so-
mate.
So,
Who did Stumptown beat though at Sandown? And this
Freeze.
is part of the problem.
It's a class
In Britain.
3, yeah.
They beat nothing and they end up in the 140s after 3 runs. Like I know he's only at 135, but they beat nothing and they're getting £7 to £10 for it. Where in Ireland, if you like, we probably don't. There's less horses, so there's less bad horses. You don't even getting £3 for beating those mugs, like, you know. But you win 3 races in Britain, all of a sudden you're in the 140s, you're getting dizzy, and they don't win again until they come back down to the 130s. So
There's-
like,
That's
Yeah,
the mark is off though. He's not quite in the 140s yet. So then this is probably the time that he's going to go under the radar and catch him. Where, well, I say go under the radar. He's favoured for a reason, isn't it?
Yeah, but I know, but he's going to the Cheltenham Festival. It's not like he's going to Plumpton.
Yeah.
You know, he's not going to Plumpton off 135 and he's going to beat a few more trees. He's going to the Cheltenham Festival where you're taking on, you know, horses who could be grade 1 horses in a handicap.
yeah.
There's one more problem with him as well. If you go back, like, now, it could just be the change in tactics and inverted commas that have gotten the last 2 wins when he's raced prominently and jumped brilliantly. But this horse over hurdles and over fences throughout the start of his career, he had a real tendency to throw the towel in and race lazily. He made plenty of mistakes when held up. You get reminders midway through the race, so you don't want Barry O'Neill getting chucked out coming down the hill after using an allocation of 7 hits. But the problem is he has a tendency to race lazily unless he's prominent or unless he likes the front run. And do you want to back a horse at 11-2 to make all in the Kim Muir with a load of amateurs going a million miles an hour? There's enough there for me to take him on, to be honest with you.
Can I bring up an interesting point about this race? I was talking to some people at the handicap weights lunch, and then we were talking about the whip. And I don't want to get any sort of into this, but what's interesting is
I can see Deck brewing. I can see him brewing.
no,
look at him, he's ready.
It's the interesting point because some of these horses could go to the national, and so basically amateurs get banned. Obviously, that amateur got 20 days. Recently, amateurs only get banned for days where there's a race that amateurs are eligible to ride in, like it's exclusive for amateurs or conditionals. So that's why, if you can see in the BHA document, it would say, for example, Sam Twiston-Davies was banned for 4 days, and it said from this point to this point. Whereas our amateurs 20 days, they listed every single day that he was banned for because there was a day within that 20-day period that he could ride. So what's interesting is if these horses do win, they could run in the national, and say the jockey, for example, goes over the limit, gets a lengthy ban, puts them out of the national, or it puts them out of the time frame for the national.
Could he ride in the national and not be able to ride on the Friday?
He could ride in the national because the amateurs race is on a different day, but the national is there's no amateur races, or to the best of my knowledge, there's no amateur or conditional races on that day. So if they keep the ride, or it's like connections who want him to keep the ride, I'm fairly sure they'd be all right for it. So that's the interesting point.
So they wouldn't be banned. They wouldn't be banned on days
because it's 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks after. So they get the ban and it comes into effect 2 weeks after.
Yeah.
And then because if it's Cheltenham Festival heat at the moment, they could go a fair few strikes over. You don't know. This is what's interesting about this festival, and they could be say banned from like April, and they can go right. You ban this day, this day. Oh, National Day, you're fine. That's what.
Are you sure you're right there, Ash? Because I remember Samuel Cohn getting a ban years ago, and that came up, and it's days with amateur races. But I thought once you're banned, you're banned.
I was speaking to someone like one of the journalists there who was talking to. This isn't my knowledge now. I was taking it off him, and he was actually talking to the BHA about it. So I think it's interesting. We were sort of all in a bit of a conversation about it. Now, don't quote me on that. That could be wrong, but that's what I thought was interesting. I will try and find out if that is correct. But to my knowledge and what I was talking to people about, it's at least a grey area as much as anything is a grey area about this thing. But anyway, that was the interesting thing.
You know what we should be betting on? We should be betting on how many amateurs get banned from this.
How many days? How many days?
You could finish 8th. You could finish 8th and get the race a week later.
Yeah, literally. You could.
On the BHA website, you start celebrating. Anyway.
I'll go ahead with my horse. Obviously, Am I Right's massive shout from my opinion. He was my each way horse going into this, but
You
I
dare
quite
say
like.
something. You dare.
No. I like one that's a very similar price actually. Mr. Incredible. I am quite a bit of a fan of this horse. I was there at the Classic Chase Day at Warwick. Obviously, I Will Do It was fantastic that day. And I was watching I Will Do It. I thought, oh, what's this thing coming from the clouds? And it was Mr. Incredible. I think it's a fantastic piece of just like race planning from Connections, Paul Byrne, Willie Mullins, because they come over to Britain. They've got him a handicap mark in Britain for the Classic Chase. He's finished second there, staying on from an absolute mile when only, I think, 7 or 8 horses actually finished the race that day. Was finishing ahead of Not a Chance, very well handicapped. Guetta Pan Collonge as well, who's a very well handicapped horse, well regarded at the stable, finishing ahead of them. He was staying on really nicely. He's been put up only £3 that, so he gets off the maximum weight now, 145. And I quite like Mr. Incredible for this race. And I will give one more shout to Slipway for Ben Pauling, won the Southern National earlier in the season. Big fan of this horse, and Connections are a big fan of this horse as well. He's entered for the Midlands National as well. Wouldn't be surprised to see him go. Wouldn't be surprised to see him go there because Ben was saying that he was going to go to the Classic Chase, but it went too soft for him. So depending on what grounds turn up across the courses, he could be a live runner for anything. But Ben's quite sweet on his chances in these staying races. I think he's improved a lot. He is an improving horse, and he'll be running very nicely off 139, I believe. Anyway, plenty of talk there about the Kinmure. We'll move on then to the final race we'll be talking about, the County Hurdle. Obviously, last year won by State Man. It was a handicapper's nightmare, the fact that State Man won. Hopefully, there's nothing in here for them this year. And Filey Bay tops the market in there at 5-1. Hunter's Yarn 9s, Pembroke 9s, June Coco 10s. I'll come over to you, Harry, first of all. County Hurdle, 2 milers going at it. Very quick race, a race I personally love to enjoy because at the last hurdle, about 10 horses could be in it. And what do you like?
Yeah, this is a good race. I always love this race. I mean, when you've seen State Man see all that money before, you knew you were going to see a smart one come out of the race. And when he came tanking, you thought there's no way this horse is off 141 or whatever it was. It was ridiculously well handicapped. I did mention a horse. I do like Ballyadam in this race. I really do. I just think that 2 miles of just pure pace, and there's that ridiculously good footage of Aidan Coleman on board Ballyadam in last year's renewal, and he was jumping into the back, and Jack Kennedy nearly butchered him up about 5 times on the way round by cutting him up. But it's so quick, this race, and there's that many horses that are fighting for positions, or all it takes is one to come piling back that's done the running from the front, and that's it, your race is gone. I thought Ballyadam was a little bit unlucky. Now, from first viewing, I thought he was. I thought he got trapped behind, I think it was one of Dan Skelton's horses, and it was just tracking back in the All Mankind colours, just tracking back all the way down, and about 10 of them got blocked off. And listen, would he have caught State Man? No, he definitely wouldn't have. So I do think, as I mentioned, David Casey said there is no State Man in this race from the Mullins yard. So that's one stable we can count out of having a Grade 1 horse in. I think Ballyadam, this 2 miles good ground is definitely what he wants. Placed in the race last year. I think it was 5th. I want to say 5th.
Yeah, I think he was now.
And listen, he was 5th. Yeah, 6 lengths. Listen, he's off £4 higher, but I do think he is still well in. He's a graded horse. He's proved that in his earlier days. Listen, it's wide open. But Ballyadam for me, I'm sticking to him. I still think Henry will come round. He's had a little bit of a dry. It's been 13 runners since he's had a winner. 14 days, nearly 2 weeks since he had a winner. So hopefully he starts turning that round. So,
Thank you very much, Harry. Very interesting when I was on him last year. So hopefully he can do something for you. Lee, yourself, what do you like in the county?
I'm down to 2, but they're kind of obvious. Pembroke for the Skeltons. They've won this race a couple of times. It was a good run the last day behind Rock My Way. Mufasa was in behind, Henri II. Them are classy horses, and obviously not had many runs. So Pembroke could be well handicapped, but I'd love Gin Coco. We both backed him in the Greatwood, Ash. He was miles clear of the 3rd. I like to move it, was ahead of him. 135 he's on. He's only had 5 runs, and Harry Fry's on a 31% straight rate in the last 14 days, so the yard couldn't be in better form. I just think that run, they've saved him since that Greatwood hurdle. He come there travelling like a dream, but I like to move it, obviously, booted for home. Like I say, they pulled a long way clear of some decent enough horses. They've not maybe shown the form since, but he's been saved for the race. And the way I like to move it, won the last day. Win Canton, he's a lively outsider for maybe he's a third place in a champion hurdle. So Gin Coco for me, I think he'll win, and I think Pembroke's got a good chance as well.
Yeah, I'll roam with you on Gin Coco as well. I seem to be agreeing with plenty of the thoughts already here, but I think that form's really good.
Just copying
I really
everyone.
like this horse. I'm picking and choosing which ones sound the best. I'm like, yeah, that's a really good point. No, Gin Coco, I really like. I've liked this horse pretty much since his run at Punchestown Festival last April. I know Harry Fry thinks plenty of this horse, and I think what's interesting with his Greatwood Hurdle run is I don't actually think he gets the best spin around. Like he's about 4 back for most of the journey. He's coming down the hill. You can see Johnny Burke working away on him, like to try and get him up to the pace, because he's like, oh, we've given I like to move it a little bit too much rope here, and you can see it coming down the hill. He's nudging along to try and get up to him. He's coming around the outside as well. Now I can't believe to this day he didn't actually win, but now I realise that on this day, now I realise he ran the potential champion hurdle horse. Like he came around the outside, I thought he's absolutely pulling double here. Here we go, just let him go.
A potential champion hurdle horse.
As it what, he'll run in the champion hurdle? Did I say?
Oh, I was going to say. I was going to say. I was like, whoa.
Come here, look, come here. Constitution Hill makes a mistake at the 4th statement gets brought down. He could win the champion hurdle. At the end of the day, you know, you should never be, Andy's always saying you should never be afraid of one horse. In this case, 2 horses. One of them wakes up, didn't sleep the night before, didn't eat up, they're not themselves. That's this why you should be rolling the dice in these races. You know, it's a champion hurdle at the end of the day. If you have a horse rated high enough to go and take his chance, let him take his chance, because you just don't know what's going to happen. Hardy Eustace went to Cheltenham. He went off 33-1 for his first champion hurdle, like, you know, having not won all season, I think. So, you know, you should never be afraid of one horse.
Only a 6-year-old as well, he is. So.
Yeah,
fair play to them having a go. Like, why? What otherwise? If it was that easy, should we all be millionaires? Just back the highest rated horse in the race all the time. Like, it doesn't work like that. So, you know, fair play to them. And yeah, you watch your mouth, Harry, right?
Listen, I'm not being funny, Dak. As much as I love you, mate, Constitution Hill will absolutely walk all over him.
Well, what happens if he comes down Constitution Hill? Like, you know, you got this in champion hurdles were traditionally massive fields. Now, I don't really like when there are massive fields because you get good horses being taken out by lesser horses. And this can happen. Like, on the day, getting to the start at Cheltenham is hard enough, you know.
Look at Defi Desul as well. Look, we thought he would bolt in at a short price in a champion chase, and he went off 1-4 something, and it's just what how you turn up.
Come here, I spoke to Mouse Morris today. I asked him about French Dynamite, and he said, "Look, Shishkin will be hard to beat. We've a good each way chance, but Shishkin will be hard to beat." And then he turned to me and said, "But he has to turn up on the day." And at the end of the day, they're machines, and there was no better example of their machines than Fasol Vega at Leopardstown, because they went too hard, and that was the greatest example ever. He didn't get home because he's an animal, and you just don't know what way they're going to turn up. Do you wake up fresh as a daisy every morning, Harry?
Every single day.
Morning.
Every day.
Did you never?
Without fail,
be like, I'm not doing a tap today. I'm doing nothing in here today. Hungover.
No, do you know what? Do you know when Reggie got me absolutely hammered at Cheltenham?
Yeah.
I still woke up at 7 a.m. and I was like, right, there we go.
Did you? I'm not so sure you did.
No.
Anyway,
listen, I understand it, but listen, move on, Ash, because Constitution Hill won't get beat.
Anyway, back to the county hurdle where we had that little tangent. Yeah, I like to move it. Is a champion hurdle horse. He's improved £50. He's improved £15 the run. So yeah, I completely agree on Gin Coco. You can sit in the corner, Harry, after your disgraceful comments. Dec, while we've got you, county hurdle. What do you like?
Oh, well, this is the third time he's getting a mention, so it's Gin Coco for me.
Oh my God. This is never a good sign, but 3 of them are putting it up. 3.
Gin Coco orgy here.
Look, that run in Punchestown, he bumped into a really, really tough mare in Broomfield Hall, and that was only his 3rd hurdle start. And you can still do that in Ireland. You can't run in the county hurdle you can't run the county hurdle until your 5th start, is it?
Fourth.
You can run on your 4th start.
Your 5th start. Yeah, you need 4 starts. Yeah, sorry.
You know, and that's why these races are probably going to be easier to win going forward, because you're not bumping into your statement. You're not bumping into, and the Betfair, I think, is going to suffer big time from this rule change, because you got potential Supreme Novice horses turning up here, but they're not going to turn up there anymore because they haven't qualified for it. I think it's an absolute nonsense rule, and it's purely down to statement and probably Galloping des Champs the year before. You know, it's just trainers using their brain. You know, and I think that should be applauded, really. You know, if you're going to the horse, there's still difficult races to win with such little experience. I just think the rules are out of. Now we were on USO, but I'd be paying for it too, lads. Look, I thought that was a massive run from him, and then he went to Newton Abbott. He had a spin there before the 2nd in the Great Wood, and I don't know whether you mentioned that he actually went round the last hurdle that day. You know, and I think that made a difference. I'd have liked to see them jump that last hurdle, and he's only got £4 for that run. And I don't think that's been reassessed now, has it? Since I don't think
that's his mark, I believe. That's his mark.
Yeah. So he's only got £4, and you know, as Harry said, I like to move it as a champion hurdle contender. No, look, he's been beaten by a horse on the day who's good enough to run in the champion hurdle.
Yeah.
You know, if he bumps into a machine or 2 machines, fair enough. But wouldn't it be disgraceful if the champion hurdle was a match race? You know, he is good enough to run there, so he's going to run there. And look, Jim Coke has obviously been saved for this race. I think he's a great chance. He's one I really, really like. Still very unexposed.
Yeah, Jim Coco. 3 votes there for the horse. Andy, make it 4. Put Harry in his place.
No, I'm swerving Jim Coco. Although, look, his chance is obvious. Like they pulled well clear in the Great Wood. He bumped into a champion hurdle horse. Look, what can you do? I know, actually, in fairness, I actually think I like the move. It has a fair each way chance in that champion hurdle. I think that run at Wincanton was brilliant. But look, I do think Hunter's Yarn is very interesting if they opt to come here over the Supreme. And I think it would be very interesting if Connections opted for here, because then they think he's a well handicapped horse off 147. Look, it takes a lot of doing to win 3 bumpers in Ireland. I know he did it over 2 seasons, but it's really no easy task at all. It takes it takes a graded horse to win 3 bumpers, really. It took him a little while to get going. I think Deck and I were at Nace when he won a maiden hurdle at 1-5. I think I was at the bar. Like I really didn't give a toss about the race. I didn't think the form was much.
Is this Man at Work?
No, this is Hunter's Yarn.
Yeah,
no, we were at Nace for Man of Work as well. More on him in a minute. But Hunter's Yarn, I thought he was quite impressive at Nace, won very easily. But his run next time out in a listed hurdle, like I thought that was very impressive. And now you could make that was at Navan, his listed hurdle win. You could make the argument, imagine, I know the way you're thinking, American Mike, the big Dione, maybe there was plans down the line for those particular rivals, but he put daylight between them, 6 lengths. I think that's form you need to follow going into the spring. If any horse that are beaten by this lad turn up at handicaps in the spring, including Cheltenham, I definitely give them a second look. I know Imagine is in here, but he's likely to go to the Martin Pipe. He's very, very interesting off 139, I think. So yeah, Hunter's Yarn, I think, has a good chance. And I say I wouldn't rule him out in a Supreme either. I think he's a nice horse.
I think David Casey was on a preview the other day, and he says that he'll go to this race, I think.
Okay, all right, that's interesting, because he definitely interests me, and he looks like a pure 2-miler to me as well. I don't know if he wants much further than that. Not at this moment in time. And then Deck mentioned the other one that I do like, and this one.
I'm sorry about that, Andy.
No, you're good. There's a chance this lad mightn't get in because he's only rated 132, but I think he'll get in down the foot of the weights. A horse called Man of Work, who have a lot of time for. Peter Fahey trains it. Deck and I were at Nace as well when this lad won a maiden hurdle. It was last season. He won a 4-year-old hurdle in pretty easy. So like he won it pretty easily. Was well backed at the off, or well, pretty much throughout the day. He fell when Akara Allen
doesn't agree
fell
with
in
it.
a grade 3. He fell. Who's popular there? He fell in a grade 3 when he looked like he was going to give Akara Allen a scare at Ferry House. And then they ran him in a grade 1. They ran him in a couple of handicaps this year, 4th at Ferry House. But he was really well backed in the Liffey, the race that Gaelic Warrior won. Very, very well backed throughout the day. Finished, I think, well, he didn't finish. He fell. He fell at the 3rd or 4th. He went off 10-1. I do think the new course, 2 miles, is going to really suit him. I think he's going to need every yard of it. He could be delivered late. And off 132, I think he's a horse that can... Look, he could be a high 130s, 140 odd horse. And I just don't think he's had the opportunity to show it yet. And I think a big field where he could arrive late on the scene. He's currently 40-1 with most places, and I think he's a pretty good chance. I quite like him if he does get in, and they do opt to take their chance.
No, thank you very much, Andy. I'll give one shout to one final horse. I think it's just got down to a mark where he's now very well handicapped off previous form. Excuse me, Milkwood. I've got a frog in my throat now. Milkwood for Neil Mulholland, I think, is very well handicapped. He was 3rd in the 2021 renewal of this race off 140, won a Scottish champion hurdle off 142, was 2nd in a Galway plate off 147 to the very good Soldier, and then was 2nd in the most recent Welsh champion hurdle. I mixed up all my races off 148.
You are pissed. I'm telling you.
I wish I was. Following a fairly average run in the elite hurdle, he then went and finished 3rd to Simon Near horse now. I forgot the name now. It's a horse I really like. Finished 3rd to that off the wrong distance. Now back down to a mark of 141. Milkwood's a very, very good horse. A very good horse. Everyone was sort of like purring over this horse last season. I think he's very, very good. And now back down to a work on mark of 141. Neil Mulholland is a very good operator with these types. He picks out a horse to target. These horses run well, and he's been given a nice chance by a handicapper. I think off a big price now. I think he's 33-1 Milkwood. I'd be giving him a steer as well at the price. I think the new course could really suit him well, as it's already been 3rd in the county. Same for Jincoco. I think this new course will be better than the old course that it's running in. So yeah, there's the 2 darts, and there's all our darts for the county hurdle. We'll go on to naps. We're giving free rein to the boys for naps of the Cheltenham Festival as a whole. We've discovered that we got Andy's nap wrong when he was an audience nap. We put in Sir Alan when it was actually a different horse.
Metamorphosis, anyway.
There it is. You're here to speak freely now, so we can't get this wrong. We'll go to you first, Andy. What will your nap be of the Cheltenham Festival?
Yeah, this is a horse I've been very keen on since I seen him at Navan. When he was 3rd to Hercule de Soy and Imagine, just got slightly outpaced after the second last. The horse is 3-card Bragg. Slightly outpaced after the second last. I thought he, beat Sandor Clegane in a maiden hurdle at Galway. And then I think he ran it. I think it was at Nace in the Nace Novice Hurdle Grade 2. He was probably inconvenienced by 2 omitted hurdles in the home straight that day. Where he was beaten, I think, ahead by In the Pocket with Absolute Notions back in 3rd. Like, that's one of the, even though the race didn't really suit any horse that ran it that day due to the missing hurdles, that form doesn't get much stronger over here than those 3 horses, I don't think. The owner's been adamant that he wants 3 miles. I completely agree. I just absolutely love him. I think he's about 7-1. I think he's an absolute phenomenal chance. I really do. I think an end-to-end gallop is just going to show him in a better light. And if they can resist the temptation of not going chasing with him next year, I imagine they will. This thing would win a Stayers Hurdle next year, I think. I really think they're only scratching the surface with him. He hits the odd flat spot, but I just think it's because he's weak and he's immature. And he's really, really, really good. I tell you now for free, what he managed to do over 2 miles at the start of the season. This lad coming up to 3 miles now. You're going to see a different animal. I'm very, very confident of it. I think he's still 7-1 or so. So he'd be my nap at the festival. He's my only 5-star bet in my book. So yeah, I know Love Envoy was I was keen on her as well, and she would have nearly made it. I know she's on the list already, but it's her missing that run at Warwick when she improved for every run through the season. It's just giving me a little bit of heebie-jeebies about her, but I still think she's a phenomenal chance in the Mayor's Hurdle. But no, 3-card Bragg, very, very confident that he'll win the Albert Bartlett.
Wow, confidence. We like it. Thank you very much, Andy. Deck, yourself. We'll go same question.
Oh, this
over
could
to
be
you.
anything. This could be anything.
This could literally be anything.
Do you mind if I give you the Midland National winner as well and one for tomorrow?
Do that, Dan.
Oh, why not? Why not?
Yeah, look, no, it's conflated, the Gold Cup.
Yes! Come
I
on!
I just think he's people are just they're not giving this horse the credit he deserves. He's won grade 1s at Leopardstown twice, really, really well. He was actually running a big race in the Ryanair last year. I'm not saying he would have won it, but he wasn't beat, and he kind of just knuckled on landing. He just, you know, he kind of had a bit of a galloping des champs, and it was a bit of a soft fall. He blew up at Down Royal at the start of the year. He wasn't fit at all, and he ran on towards the end of the race. It was a sign of a horse that blew up. He's gone to Leopardstown. They've put him away. He's plenty of pace. He stays all day. Reminds me a bit of, me and Andy were only talking the other day, Outlander, who won the Savage Chase at Leopardstown. But he only done it at Christmas. Conflated is a better horse than that. And I just think there's not enough. Well, happy days. There's not enough people talking about him. But the trainer's starting to sound bullish now as well. I think he's when Galloping des Champs looks like he's jumping him into submission, when he gets over the last and he starts treading water, Conflated will be staying on. I think he's made for the Gold Cup. And I think he's really, really good value. And then the next day, we can just roll the money on to when I meet Hardy at U Toxer, Angel's Dawn. I think she's still really, really well handicapped. She unseated the last day. She was going to piss up in the national trial at Punchestown. I stuck her up on Twitter after she ran in the beginner's chase behind Classic Getaway journey with me and Manella Cooner. She was just out the back jumping really, really well. I think she's really, really good, still well handicapped. So I'm hoping she goes to Utoxer because I think she'll win that. And then tomorrow, in the 325 at the Canter, I think
technically today, when this is released, it's today. So yes,
today at Leopardstown in the 325.
That's already lost.
I think they made a mistake the last day. They ran over 2.5 miles and they showed their hand because he stayed on really, really well. And the fact that they're stepping up to 3 miles tomorrow, first time in a handicap, tells me they're going to try because they ran him over 2 miles, I think, just to sharpen up his jumping, that fast jumping in a handicap. But they're stepping up to 3 miles, so I think they're going to have a go. I think the horse has loads of ability. And as I said,
what was the name of that one?
At a Canter. 325, Ross O'Sullivan.
14 to 1, Declan.
What price?
14 to 1.
I doubt he'll be that tomorrow.
Oh, is that the Declan money going on?
Loading up.
No, well, look, he looks like come here. I haven't even spoken to Ross about this horse. I do know the owner, but I haven't spoken to him either. It just the signs are there. If he wasn't going to win tomorrow, they'd come back to 2 miles. He watched the maiden at Naas the last day. He's dead on strikingly. And I think they just showed the hand, sort of saying, right, we have to go for a step up to 3 miles. We're going to have a go.
Thank you very much, Deck. Bet placed on my phone. I've already backed that horse just now, so thank you very much.
We can all run for Declan. Declan, you're good, you toxins. I hope he gets beat.
And the biggest thank you is Conflated for the Gold Cup. Finally, I have someone who likes Conflated as well.
Yeah, Deck, ask Ash what price you backed him at.
I'm just over the moon.
I
was in the 50 to 1 camp with him.
I'm on a 66 to 1 because of you, Ash.
Yeah.
I backed them. I backed the SP favourite to win the Savage Chase in a double with Conflated to win the Gold Cup. It was weird, Andy.
Yeah, so that's it. You're going to get your account marked for that one.
I basically have 100 to 1.
Oh, lovely.
If you include the double. If they pay it.
That's if they pay me, yeah.
If they pay it.
No, that could be very nice by Friday. We'll go naps then, us lot. It's been an emotional journey and we're coming to the end of it. I'm going to go to Lee first. Opening up the naps. What is it for week 9?
just to say, Andy's horse, a 3-card Bragg. I've mentioned him a few times this season, and I absolutely love him. I think he'll win the ball as well. But I'm going to go Gin Coco. We've just mentioned him, but I think he's well in, saved for the race, cracking run behind. I Like to Move It, who I think will be third. I do think Constitution Hill will beat Stateman. I think I Like to Move It will be third in the Champion Hurdle, and that'll be cracking form. So Gin Coco to go on my list.
Look at that. You've got a Bartlett winner. You've got the winner for the county, and you've got the trifecta.
1, 2, 3.
One more.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Harry, yourself, week 9. Go on.
What,
I can tell you forgot.
No, it's not. It's not, because I feel slightly ashamed that it's not of yours prices. However, I do think an Ergamine wins the champion chase this year.
Yeah.
I think he goes in again. I just do. People going on the Edward Stone. I just think.
Hang on.
How many horses you tipped for the champion
You're
chase?
this man who was like, who's on the phone? Edward Stone.
Yeah,
You're this.
That is.
And Blue Lord.
And he's got Blue Lord at the table. Oh,
And he's not a film. Whoever wins.
Yeah, well,
Film and everything.
No. Actually, right. Scrap that.
Harry, have you got Captain Guinness?
Have I got? Yeah, I've seen Captain Guinness, and I've tipped him up the last twice. Listen, he should have gone to the Sandham race. Ash, help me out. Tingle Creek. He should have gone to Tingle Creek because he'd have won that. I seriously think he'd have won it.
Wouldn't have beat Edward Stone.
He would.
Don't be daft.
He would.
What's your next snap, Harry?
Right, we'll go to the next snap. I can't get Gallopin up because he will carry Conflated on his back. There we go. I'm going to go to the Stayers. I'm going to go over to the Stayers, and I'm going to back home. Well, I already have backed Home by the Lee. I think Joseph's horse has got a massive chance in this. He's 2 out of 2 this season. He beat Bob Ollinger, not the greatest of form, but I think his best run was at Leopardstown last time. He travelled so sweetly, which was surprising because compared to his previous run at Navan, he was off the bridle literally the whole way round. He was going round. JJ Slevin went at him at Navan, and it's a long straight. I mean, I've never been, but I mean, you two lads can back me up. It's a long, bloody straight turning in. And when a horse is off the bridle turning in, you're thinking, oof, I don't really know. But he did. He stayed on. Stamina's his forte. He wasn't beaten that far in last year's renewal. He stayed on up the hill as well. So Home by the Lee is a better horse this year, and I think he'll win the Stayers at 6-1.
Thank you very much, Harry.
See, that's not stupid, is it? That's not stupid.
Well, which one of them 3 is going in the table? It's Home by the Lee or Energamine or
Edward Stone or Captain Guinness? Do you want Captain
I've never put Edward Stone up. Never.
You said who's on the phone, Edward Stone. Is that not you, or is that Lee?
No, I said who's on the phone, not Edward Stone.
He
won't be on the phone.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna save Harry from his misery now. I'm gonna go to the Fox Hunters. Sorry, not the Fox Hunters.
You can't say that, Ash. Jesus.
Careful now.
I am so sorry. I'm going to the St James's Plate Festival Challenge Cup Open Hunters Chase. Thank you very much. No. I'm going Secret Investor, Paul Nichols. I like this horse. at this quality. Down to mark of 144 when it was rated at sort of like 154s. And it's not because it's in the handicap, but they could have been going for handicaps with this horse if they wanted to, because it was rated stupidly high because of its winning the Denman chain swim, beating Clanders Oboe. Obviously, then broke down that day, had plenty of time off, came back, actually ran the handicap off the very high mark, didn't do anything, ran in 2 Hunters chases, absolutely won them how he liked. They could have been doing something nice. I hate to sort of like name drop here, but when we were going to pools for the media day, it was very much a case of like, these are the horses that we're going to be taking there. These are best chances. And he said, here's one who's one of our better chances. And it was Secret Investor. And for a Hunter's Chase, where I think is a much better renewal than last year. I'm doing a piece for the Cheltenham Post. I've submitted it now. I did a piece for the Cheltenham Post, and I went through that festival favourite to take on was one of my sections, and my top of my list was Vorsley for that one.
That one.
I think he's a nice. I think he's a nice horse, but I think it's much stronger than last year. Like if you're based, I know he didn't run it last year.
He didn't even run it.
No.
He
didn't run it last year, but his form intertwines very nicely with Billaway. But I think last year was fantastic. It was a brilliant spectacle race. But I think this year you've got some really nice horses in there. We don't know if Ferns Lock's going, but they've entered the horse there. But they were saying they weren't.
Entered him, yeah.
He's not.
Yeah, they were saying they weren't going to go, but then they entered him afterwards. So it's very interesting why they've entered him. But it's interesting that way. Secret Investors going, Chris's Dreams going. I think there's some really, really nice horses in there. Emmett Mullins, of course.
Does Natalie Parker
ride?
Sorry?
Is Paul Nicholls' daughter going to ride a red today?
No, it's the stable lass who deals with the horse who's
Natalie Parker,
won on him. That's it. She's going to be on him.
Right.
She's going to be on it. I think it's just a much stronger race, but I think Secret Investor's right at the top. And Curtis Shaw, I think 8-1. Secret Investor for me is going to be where my final selection is. And that's all we've got time for. Thank you very much. I'll give a massive thank you to everyone who has watched the series from the beginning. You've been absolutely amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Andy and Dec, for coming on. We were scrambling around for a while yesterday, or I was behiing the scenes to get a guest on, and we've got two on.
Way down the
we
list.
got mustered up. We must have been in the relegation.
Dec, you were right at the bottom.
well, look, George Clooney decided not to come on.
Here, lads,
Anyway,
are you gonna pop into the drop-in show after your podcast on Thursday?
Yeah, you'll have us.
And Dec can barely speak probably after
3 bottles of wine deep, but that's
everyone.
Yeah. George Clooney decided not to come on, then Cristiano Ronaldo was second choice. Then I thought you two would go for the next choices there. No, thank you very much.
We're gonna have to ask these lads.
Hi Dec, how are you? No, thank you very much, lads, for coming on. Thank you everyone who supported the series. Lee, have we got a competition running, or we've got a big competition?
We've got
live at least.
Our competition off Racing Tees at Racing Tees 1 on Twitter. We've got a big bundle to give away on Thursday, which is our preview night. It's live. You can tune in on YouTube and follow the links on Twitter. 7:30, we've got plenty of good people on. Mr. Johnny Deneen, who will bring some good laughs, but a great panel there on Thursday at 7:30. And then join the lads on under starters orders as well. 9 o'clock, they'll be on after us, so we'll jump on there and have a bit crack as well, lads. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much. Make sure to check out that podcast. It's a very, very good watch. Just complete, like the amount of insight in there. I know it goes on a couple hours, but it's a couple hours worth watching. Like it's fantastic insight. I absolutely love it. No, thank you very much for coming on. Thank you very much everyone who supported the series. Make sure to check out the preview night on Thursday. Our next video will be out on Wednesday, previewing the Imperial Cup. Then we'll maybe have a little bit of a break after that with Cheltenham. Who knows? We'll then be back for the Saturday live. All of the business. Follow us all on Twitter. Follow the Only Fools Love Horses account on Twitter. Thank you very much. You've all been very kind, and we'll see you again very, very soon.